or younger to raise your hand. And if you're home on Zoom, raise your hand. Raise them up high. If you're 30 years old or younger, look around. See, there's quite a few of you. Well, this talk this afternoon is really designed and focused on you. That's what this is a message. I want you to think of it as a message directly from Jehovah to you. So you might wonder, well, why would we spend all this time? Why would Jehovah devote this whole meeting really talking about young ones? We could be talking about Revelation, the ransom, the kingdom, but no, why are we talking about you? It's because Jehovah loves you. He does. Jehovah loves each of you young ones. And he truly cares so much for you that he wants to see you find what we're going to talk about this today, true success and happiness. That's what he wants. Note what he inspired, an ancient king, the message recorded for you today. If you have your Bibles, open them or tap your devices, and let's go to Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11. Note what he inspired to be written, a message for you in verse 9. Have you found it? I'll give you some time. Ecclesiastes 11 and verse 9, he says this: Rejoice, young man or young woman, while you are young, and let your heart be glad in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart, and go where your eyes lead you. But know that the true God will bring you into judgment for all these things. So what does this verse here teach us about Jehovah? Well, first of all, Jehovah wants you to be happy. See, right up front he says to rejoice. When? While you are young. He knows this can be an especially joyful time in your lives. But he continues by saying, hey, be careful because you are accountable to him for your actions. God is so eager to reward you by acting faithfully, serving him faithfully. He wants to reward you for doing that. And he knows that your decisions today will affect your happiness in the future. So note what he says in verse 10. If you look there, chapter 11, verse 10, he says to remove things like troublesome things and harmful things. Don't have anything to do with them. They're worthless. But note chapter 12 of Ecclesiastes in verse 1. Note what he says in the A part. Remember then your grand creator in the days of your youth. You see that? Jehovah's saying, remember me right now. You know, we might get to the thoughts and we might reason with ourselves, perhaps that, you know, I have a few things I want to do and then I'll get baptized. Or I want to, get a career, make some money, and then I'll do some full-time service. But no, Jehovah's saying to remember me now, and he will bless you. Putting your strength, your whole soul, in your service to him. He'll bless you and you will live the best life ever. That's what Jehovah promises. Have you ever heard of lane keep assist? Some automobiles are built, they have this feature called lane keep assist. And they have sensors built on them where basically it can detect whether or not you're going out of a lane while you're driving a vehicle. And so a lot of times people will be driving along, and if you're starting to swerve, maybe you're starting to fall asleep, maybe you're distracted, or you just aren't paying attention and you start going out of the lane, you'll hear a notification. It'll notify you. You'll hear a beep. And it'll, hey, that's trying to recorrect. That's telling you to get back on your destination. Some of them are really equipped too. Some of the vehicles actually vibrate the wheels, or they'll start pulling you back in the lane. Some of the cars are really advanced. So why? Why do manufacturers put this equipment onto a vehicle? Well, it's for your safety. It's for your protection. It truly is. And if you respond to it, it could save your life. And so in a very similar sense, Jehovah today has given each of you young ones the ability. You are the driver in the seat of your own life right now. Jehovah's giving you the decisions. You can make the choice and go whichever way you want. But he's also provided you with some wonderful assistance. He's provided some alerts of protection by means of his word, the Bible. And if you respond to those, it can help take you to what you truly are desiring, the destination you're looking for, which is true success and happiness. That's what this talk is really about. So let's consider just 3 of the decisions in which Jehovah has provided good and reliable direction for you today. Decision number 1 has to do with your choice of friends. So what's the challenge? What's the challenge when it comes to friends? I mean, we all want association, and COVID has added a layer on top of that because for so long, so many had to be isolated, so you weren't able to be around individuals. But then because you're here at the Kingdom Hall, you're getting trained, you have good qualities, so people everywhere are going to want to be your friends. Whether you're at school, there'll be people who have the same hobbies and interests in you that want to be your friend. It might be people you work with. Hey, let's go grab a bite to eat, or hey, let's go get some drinks. You know, this is what those do. It might be ones you play video games with, or even people who try to connect with you online on your social media, and they'll become your friends. And so you start to get to know them, and you get a little closer, and you start thinking, hey, they're fun. I enjoy being around them. In fact, I can get along with them and click even better than some of the ones in the congregation. What if we start to feel like that? We should think of the alert. There's an alert from Jehovah. What direction has he provided for us? Well, let's see. Turn, if you will, to Proverbs chapter 13. Proverbs chapter 13. And note what he says in verse 20. He says, the one walking with the wise, hanging out, associating with the wise, note, will become wise. But the one who has dealings with the stupid, or those who aren't doing things according to God's will fare badly. What's the message here? Jehovah is saying, choose your friends wisely. They have a powerful impact on you. You are affected by your friends. And those who you have close association with can rub off on us for the good or for the bad. I think it was in our convention, Brother Lett, he described friends like an elevator. He said, they can take you up. You know how he does. He said, they can take you up, or they can bring you down to the basement or the sub-basement. That's what he mentioned. And that's how truly friends can be. You know, when I was younger, my parents always impressed upon me and made me memorize 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33. You might remember that one. Bad associations spoil useful habits. Or as in today's English version says, bad companions ruin good character. And that is so true. They say you put a rotten apple and it can spoil the whole bunch, and that's very much the same. We are affected by those we are around. It's also been said that if you want to know who a person really is, then show me their friends. What does that mean? Well, the people you associate with closely reveal a lot about you yourself. On JW.org, there's a wonderful Young People Ask series, and there's a whiteboard video. It's entitled, What's a Real Friend? And it makes just a few comments. It talks about a real friend brings out the best in you, is always there for you even when times are tough. They stand for something, and it's someone you can trust. So I guess the question now is, what kind of friends do you have? Are they in the truth, or are they just around the truth? See? What are their conversations? What do they talk about? Do they talk about spiritual things? What kind of entertainment do they have? What are their goals? That's something we're encouraged to consider. Note some real life examples. There's a young sister named Sarah who is starting to lose her joy in serving Jehovah. And she says this. She says, good friends came into my life at just the right time. A young sister and I got together each week to study the Watchtower. Another friend helped me to start commenting at meetings. Because of the influence of my friends, I began to take personal study and prayer more seriously. I started to develop a stronger relationship with Jehovah, and I began to feel joy again. And note with Julian, he now serves as an elder. He says this: when I was younger, I made good friends while sharing in the ministry. These friends were zealous, and they helped me to see how enjoyable the ministry can be. I began to have a full-time ministry as my goal. I also realized that I had been missing out on good company and interesting friendships by limiting my friends to those of my own age. Later, I made good friends at Bethel. Their example helped me to improve my choice of entertainment, and that brought me closer to Jehovah. Do you see how they were able to look for wholesome friends? Even ones not necessarily their same age or same background, and it brought them closer to Jehovah, making them even better friends themselves. You know, the world recognizes the need of putting people together to accomplish the same goal. Isn't that true? My brother pictured, he said there's AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. WW, Weight Watchers they talk about, yes. Different groups to come together working toward the same goal. Our Enjoy Life Forever book says this about friends. It says, friends who love and worship Jehovah can help you to stay close to him and to make good decisions. But close friends outside the congregation can cause us to draw away from Jehovah. So what will be your choice, young ones? The choice is yours. Just remember, your decision can affect your destination. Note decision number 2, one of the areas where we get some assistance, and that has to do with our decisions regarding sex. Well, what's the challenge that comes around this? Well, the Bible describes sex as a gift from God to be experienced with a man and woman who are married. But many of you are in what they call the bloom of youth, this time when your emotions and hormones are strongest, those feelings and desires are there. And then you add on top of that Satan exploits that. He throws sex everywhere. It's in the music, it's in the movies, it's in the streaming shows, it's in the books, it's everywhere. And there's no true standards in the world today if you look around. They use what I call the Nike principle. If you like this guy, or if you like that girl, or if you like both, just do it. That's the mentality in the world today. There's no true standards. And so we can get to the feeling where maybe we start to think, well, I'm not as crazy as some people. I'm not doing all that. I just want to see if I can push the limits just a little bit this direction. So if we start to feel that way, again, we're listening for what? Jehovah's warning of alerts of protection. What has he provided us with? Well, let's see. Turn, if you will, to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and see what advice he's given us. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Note what he says in verse 4. He says, each one of you should know how to control his own body in holiness and honor. So regardless of what may be going on, he's saying we need to learn to control our sexual desires. And we have to act decisively to reject any immoral acts. And if we do that, Jehovah will bless us for showing respect for this gift Jehovah has provided. Do you remember the Bible account of Joseph? Maybe you can recall him because he was one who was just 16, 17, 18 years old when his brothers sold him into slavery. And so a man named Potiphar had brought him, and as he started to grow, Potiphar noticed good qualities, so Potiphar actually put him over and trusted him over his household. But he caught the eye of Potiphar's wife. And if you look back in the Genesis account, Potiphar's wife noticed maybe the good qualities, how handsome and well-built the Bible said he was. So he was a good-looking young brother. And so she came to him and pretty much said, "You want to hook up? Hey, lie down with me." That's what she said. But Joseph said, "Oh no, I won't do that." But then the account says, day after day, she kept coming to him. So you see, she was relentless at coming back. You could almost imagine her. "Hey, Joseph. Hey, Joseph." You know, that's what she kept doing day after day. And he said no. Until finally, there was a moment when she found herself alone with him. And she said, "I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to go and I'm going to grab a hold of him." So she grabbed a hold of his garment and said, "Lie down with me." And you see in the picture what he did? He fled. Now, why would he have done that? He was a young man. No doubt he had desires. And Potiphar's wife, no doubt, was a beautiful woman. But in the account, he said, "How could I commit this great badness and actually sin against God?" So he put Jehovah's feelings. He controlled his own body and he acted decisively. There was resolved not to have his resolve weakened. So how about you? Maybe this is an area that's been a struggle that you've had in the past. The Young People Ask article online gives some information regarding temptations and how to deal with them. And it gives a few suggestions. It's good to review. But one of the things it says is to anticipate temptations. It says to think of situations where you are likely to face a temptation, mentally rehearse how you will resist if the temptation occurs. It also says to avoid circumstances that will make temptation hard to resist. For example, do not allow yourself to be alone with a member of the opposite sex. And it also says to look ahead. Think of the consequences that can come from that. Note some real life examples. Alicia, who's just 16 years old, said this. She said, "I work very hard to do the right thing and have a good reputation. And I refuse to put myself in a situation that will cause me to lose that." Sienna, who's 16 years old, said, "Premarital sex is often followed by guilt, regret, and even feelings of being unloved. Not to mention the possibility of unwanted pregnancy or of getting a sexually transmitted disease." And 17-year-old Jeremy says, "Well, sex is a beautiful part of creation. God wants us to enjoy it, but only under the arrangement that he designed for it, which is marriage." Yes, these young ones have shown that by making wise decisions, you can maintain good self-respect and safeguard your future, which no doubt pleases Jehovah. So what will your decision be? The choice is yours. Just remember that your destination, it affects your destination. A third area in which Jehovah has given us some advice, or we have a decision to make, is with our goals for the future. Well, what's the challenge that comes with that? Well, for many today, success means you have to have a good career. That way you can make lots of money, you can buy a nice house, a nice car, all the nice things you really want. And in fact, you'll have a lot of well-meaning relatives, teachers, counselors, friends who will say, "Hey, you need to act now. Go get 4, 6, 8 years of higher education so that you're in a position to work on that and do it while you're young. That way you can be happy later." And so you start to think to yourself, hey, wouldn't be too bad to have a nice car, nice house. I wouldn't have nothing wrong with that. You start, in a sense, you start getting sold the dream to a point. What do we think of? You know it. Jehovah's alerts of protection. What is he providing for us? What direction has he wisely given us? Well, let's see. Turn, if you will, to 1 John chapter 2. 1 John chapter 2. Note what he says, starting in verse 15. He says, do not love either the world or the things in the world. Why? Note verse 16. Because everything in the world, the desire of the flesh, and the desire of the eyes, and the showy display of one's means of life, does not originate with the Father, but originates with the world. See, these shiny, these flashy things originate not with Jehovah, but they originate with the world. But what's wrong with that? Look at verse 17. It says, the world is passing away, and so is its desire. This world is about to end. And so it continues by saying, the one who does the will of God remains forever. What is the message that Jehovah is sending us here? He's saying, don't attempt to build a secure future in this unstable and doomed world. That's what he's saying. Don't invest yourself in this world. It's a bad investment. That's what he's showing. There's been so many who have strived to just gain wealth and prominence, and they've just been met with a disappointment and dissatisfaction. You can see that by looking at a lot of the celebrities these days. They amass all this fame and wealth, a lot of famous people, and yet inside you find how empty they realize it truly is. What do you think about Jesus Christ? When you think about him, he was perfect, but as a young man, Jesus was skilled. He was trained by his father in the skills of carpentry. So just imagine, we've talked about this before, what kind of the craftsmanship of the type of furniture and creations that Jesus could have come up with. People would have come long and far to buy some of his pieces, would they not? Or even differently, let's say Jesus decided as a perfect young man with a perfect mind, he decided even back in the first century that he wanted to be an inventor. He might have been able to invent the TV, an automobile, or a computer back then. He could have been the largest businessman we've ever known if he would have applied himself that way. Or no, wait, maybe Jesus decides he wants to be an athlete. That was big during his day. Athletics were big. Now, with the perfect body, Jesus would have outperformed any of the greats today. Tom Brady, LeBron James, Michael Jordan would have stood nothing to him, would they? But Jesus didn't apply himself or pursue any of those things. Why? Well, he knew the truthfulness of Jehovah's warning here. He knew that this world was passing away. It's going to end. So any enjoyment he would have had from that was temporary. It was limited. But do you remember how the scripture completed? It said that he that does the will of God remains forever. That's permanent. That's what Jesus knew. He definitely understood that. And so that's where he spent his time. Doing what? Preaching. He was in the full-time ministry, is what Jesus did. The wisest man who ever walked this earth set a great example for you, especially you young ones. What do you think? When we think about Jehovah and he takes care of everyone and takes care of all your needs, it just reminds us today that there's nothing in this world that can compare to the future blessings and satisfaction that come from putting God's will first in your life. Nothing. Nothing can compare. You know, Satan wants you to think that you're missing out. He really does. He wants you to think you're missing out. We're having so much fun over here. You know, that's what he wants you to think. It's true. Isn't that what he did with Eve? Eve was in the Garden of Eden, right? She had a beautiful garden of paradise. And he said, oh, no, you want this fruit right here. Don't you want to try it? What did Eve do? Oh, yeah. You're going to she might have thought it was good for the moment. But boy, that was temporary, wasn't it? Before long, she realized what she lost it out on. Her perfect skin started to get wrinkly, her teeth started to fall out, her neck hunched over, and she died. Don't be fooled like Eve was. Don't let Satan fool you. Truly not. So that's why we're encouraging you to take action now, while you're young. In order to take action, you gotta put in work. It's gonna take some effort. But we really want you to work to develop a close, personal relationship with none other than our grand creator, Jehovah God. You know, one brother described him and likened Jehovah to Wi-Fi. He said, even though he's invisible, you can still have a strong connection to him. And that's how it should be with Jehovah. He should be your BFF, your best friend forever, in a sense. Well, how do we prove that Jehovah is our good friend? Do we know what Jehovah loves? Do you know what Jehovah hates? Real friends know these things, don't they? So take some time. If you don't know, get to study. Even if it's just look into his word, the Bible, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day. Oh, I can't read it. Just take a few minutes to look at it and see if you can't learn how Jehovah's mind on the matters and what he thinks. Because those are really the basis for our beliefs today. Prove it to yourselves. Prove the truth to yourselves so you understand, hey, I understand why I don't celebrate the holidays. I understand why we stay neutral, and I believe it. Prove it to yourself. Make the truth your own. We want the truth to be in each and every one of us. You know, I could probably speak for everyone here that we have so many excellent young brothers and sisters in our congregation. We really, really do. And we're very proud of you. We really are. We're so proud of you young people in our hall. We really are. So we want you to continue. We know it's hard. We know it's hard and we know it's difficult. But don't give up. Don't give up. That's what Jehovah is saying. Make it your goal to keep continuing to make spiritual progress. I don't care if you're 5 or if you're 15 or you're 25. I don't care if you're single or if you're married. What are your spiritual goals? Have you set some? If not, it's time to get on that. You know, that's a good thing that we should keep progressing spiritually. If we haven't become yet a publisher, then let's put in the effort and let's become a publisher. If you haven't gotten baptized, let's put in the effort and let's get baptized. If you haven't become a regular auxiliary pioneer, haven't tried that one, then let's put in the effort and let's pioneer. If you haven't become a ministerial servant or an elder, then let's put in the effort and do one of those. SKE, LDC work, Bethel, let's work on and let's work and put the effort to do those things. See, if you continue to make spiritual progress, you're going to enjoy so many blessings. Yes, the best life ever. That's what we call it. Not just now, but even in the future. So the encouragement is to remember Jehovah. Remember your grand creator now, while you're young. See, you're in the driver's seat. Jehovah's put you there. But be determined to stay in the lane. See, respond to Jehovah's alerts and protection so that you can keep reaching and heading toward your good direction. Think about your decisions, not just today, but tomorrow and this coming week. Think about making good choices when it comes to your friends, when it comes to sex, when it comes to your goals for the future. And if you do that, you can be assured because Jehovah loves you, he will make sure to help you reach your final destination, which is exactly what we've talked about, true success and happiness.